Hey, welcome to the Vegas Views. And my name is Maria. I have Tom besides me here and Russell. And we're sitting in for Danny and Don this week. We will get them as soon as they become available. But anyways, guys, it's really chaotic in our world in America right now. Everything is, few weeks ago, we have failed assassination. We have somebody drop out from the race. We have a crowd strike, and we have wildfires. What else?
See, we got North Koreans going into Ukraine.
And then, did you guys heard about the changing of the flag? They changed it to Palestine from U.S. flag to.
No, I don't know anything about this.
Have you heard about that?
I heard about it.
Yes. So I tried to figure out what happened to that, but anyways, these are all the chaotic that's happening right now, and we just decided to, you know what, let's do a Vegas Views because it's a free talk, a freestyle talk. So who want to start?
Russell.
What's that Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times.
Very interesting.
Very right. That's like okay.
Well, let's start with the conspiracies. But anyways, before we actually move forward, I just want to say this. Don and Danny non-intentionally or unintentionally offend everybody. But if you are offended, then we did our job. If you're not offended yet, please be patient with us. We will get get to you.
Perfect.
Right.
So who you want to offend first?
Oh, so many. Yeah. So we've talked about this. It's weird that the assassination with Trump was just it's such a weird debacle, because on like one side, like I really want to jump into the conspiracy of it. Like it's just so weird how the one kooky kid who's 20 years old just so happened to be at the one Trump event where there was just so happened to have the one roof that wasn't covered by the Secret Service that got the shots off. That's
While the people were pointing at him, shouting, "There's a guy with a gun!"
yeah. And it's like
And they saw him, and the sniper saw him, and were calling in, going, "There's somebody on the roof. There's somebody on the roof."
right.
For 11 minutes, and they just let him come out. They didn't even wait 5 minutes while they send somebody over.
They really wanted to kill that fireman. That's what that was, the real target. That was
how tragic.
The innocent bystander.
Yeah, right.
That's what they were really.
Dives on front of, in top of his family to save them.
Right.
Talk about a real hero guy.
Yeah, I salute that dude. That is
unbelievable.
Yeah.
He jumped on top of his wife and saved their life.
right.
Yeah.
And you know the thing it's really sick how that doesn't get talked about enough. Like I do
And
think
the other
that
two people who are alive, but they don't say what's wrong with them, but they say they're in serious problem.
right.
High power rifle, I guess you are.
And then the thing that's really disgusting about it is like there's like this weird talk in the media of how like this should make us calm down our rhetoric, right? And neither side is calming down their rhetoric.
The opposite.
Yeah, they're scaling it up. Did you watch any of the speeches from the RNC?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm like,
Yeah, they kept saying, "Here today, by the grace of God, the assassin's bullet,"
right.
It was on. They kept hyping that. And if I could say this, Russell, I was so glad that this kid didn't actually kill Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. Not because I'm a Trump supporter. A, he's a human being, and I don't want to see it happen to anyone. He has children, young children. Nobody deserves to be shot. So that's not the real reason. I honestly said to myself, and have discussed this with others, so I'd be curious what you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, if he had been killed, we could have had a civil war. That these more extreme you know, all the real extreme people who follow Trump, even though he doesn't endorse what they want to do, you know, these militia types, and that they could have, you know, just had some uprisings.
I don't know that you would have gone like full scale civil war.
Well, I'm saying that,
But-
whenever Americans start attacking anything, even a little bit,
Yeah.
so they could have rushed the Capitol. They could have. I mean, that kind of thing. I don't mean like wholesale. No.
There would definitely be a possible like insurgency.
Yes,
Like right.
That's a better
Who
word.
would
Like-
start that?
Like well, you
Like
know,
the Proud Boys, somebody who's really, you know, the militia, you know.
there's probably some like Harley Davidson group of Republicans out there that all just packing,
Yeah.
some type of assault rifles. And they would probably, I mean, like I grew up in Montana, and I was in high school during the Freeman days, and that's
Those are the guys that they would think would just use it as an excuse for their own agenda. Actually,
right. Yeah. I mean, it would probably be tantamount to probably something like Ruby Ridge.
Yeah,
Like,
there you go. Or Waco.
We watched that documentary.
Or Waco.
Yeah, Waco or Ruby. Yeah, so where the military would probably for surely get called in. Like, but there'd be National Guard on
for
the
sure
somewhere. So it would be, yeah.
Well, I'm really curious about, about, I don't know if you've seen all those posts, those media that's coming out. It's really one-sided or divided. This totally divided our nation. And
I did say.
And also, it's really, really disgusting to see people wish the death.
People who post things to say, stupid sniper, they need to hire a better guy next time.
Yeah.
Really?
This is-
Again, I may not agree with the guy's politics,
But
does that mean I wish you got shot in the head? Who are you?
Like,
Who are you?
here's the thing: if this was a year later, and somebody like made a joke like that,
Yeah.
like I would take it as a joke. Right now, because of how
It's not a joke.
Yeah,
It sounds serious.
It's really hard for me. So
I agree with you.
do you know Jack Black, and he's got that
Yeah.
band Tenacious D? Their guitarist Kyle, they were on stage, and he made a joke about how like he wished it had been 4 inches to the left, and like
He's out.
just
Canceled.
Yeah.
No more concerts. And he's probably a long way from. By the way, I'm sure you've seen this, but some people on The View said some really disgusting stuff. I mean, they're always inflammatory. Okay, great, but they like were just over the edge, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence that they're over the edge rhetoric, and then 2 weeks later, they're not renewing any Behar or Whoopi.
I didn't know that part. I didn't.
They're gone. This is when the contract's up. They're out.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, like, frankly, The View has run its course. Like, whatever.
It's just become a
yeah,
political
yeah,
bashing.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
But they weren't leaving.
no.
I don't find anything to be coincidental in life.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a coincidence that they run their mouth about Trump, and 2 weeks later they're out.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing, like, right, like you can see a similar sort of thing. So, like, when Roseanne Barr made her comment and got canceled,
Correct.
and Roseanne is bipolar. She's on bipolar medication. She has it right. And when she made the comment, first of all, it was a comparison between I can't remember the person and the Planet of the Apes, though, right? And because that could be construed as racial, like then we lose. Like Roseanne Barr can't do anything. Well, first of all, if you're on meds and you're just making jokes, it's a joke. Like, she's probably not even thinking racially, right? So, like, but the fact that she's going to get canceled for that, and that The View isn't going to get canceled for any pro-violent stuff, and like, but this is it, and that's the thing that's really weird. Economically, we're in a tough spot because what brings civil unrest is typically economic strife.
Correct. Pressure to make your bills.
Yeah.
Pressure to food. Pressure to that kind of pressure. Economic pressure is a beast.
Well, in America, the hard part about it is like we're really struggling with forward mobility, right? And like, and so it's like it's really funny because if you go back to the Romans and you go back to the French Revolution, or any of the stuff that happened during the papacy in Italy and stuff like that, all of that came just from not having food, But we're to a point where like we have to have some concept of forward movement, and that's probably even more so too. America has got itself in a place where like we just believe in infinite growth, right?
Yeah.
And this has become kind of a like
that every generation will have more.
Yeah.
Define more as stuff. More.
But I'm sure like with you and your parents probably were like, I have this house, I have this car, I have my family, I'm doing pretty good.
Absolutely.
Right? Like they weren't looking for the second, third house. They weren't looking for and if you're lucky, your old man got like a project car to work on in the garage, right? And he loved that. So like we come a long way from that sort of blue collar like contentment, finding that stuff,
Well, okay. I just want to ask Deacon Tom, as a deacon, as a Christian, what is, we were talking about this earlier. How you guys kind of like looking at onto this situation today that we are going through, this chaotic, situation?
That's a great question. I'm going to tell you, and I may have actually said this another time to you. I've never before, and I paraphrase this by saying, maybe I'm just older. I've never before been really worried about our country. I have never before looked out and said, what is going on here? I mean, we've had instances, little things would happen, right? And I was like, this is crazy. I don't think I have a day where I don't say, oh my God, this is crazy. And when you think, when they say, what is it? When you think you've seen it all, oh, no, more, and so some of it, it just goes to show that like, if ever there was a time we needed something that transcends us being more, how much I've got, what office I'm in, who got elected, regardless of who your God is. You can be a Muslim. Allah did not say, come over here and blow up do all the 9/11 bombing and blow up the World Trade Center, do all that. Allah never said that. I'm sorry. Anybody who says that, call me. He didn't say that. People took 2 lines here and 1 line there and 1 word there, and then said, oh, I'm supposed to be on this mission of jihad. Not true. You, Mr. Human Being, I don't believe, this is me believing, that there are 2 forces, good and evil. I believe that. If you follow Satan and you're a satanic worshiper, perhaps you do think that, me doing whatever I do is okay. But I don't care if you're Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, Catholic, Episcopalian, name one. For the most part, people believe that I'm supposed to treat you right, that I'm supposed to interact with you right, that if I have disagreements with you, I'm supposed to come to you. I'm supposed to say, hey, Maria, what about this, what about that? But what I'm not supposed to do is go on Facebook and say, Maria's a whore and a no good person, terrible mother. She's probably a drug addict. She's an illegal. I mean, God knows what crazy stuff people say, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that there's just, I'm like, where's this love? I mean, just like, not getting crazy, but like, just for another person.
Yeah.
Where's the respect? I say this all the time. Where's the civility gone?
Yeah.
I travel a lot, and this is my most common stories. Traveling is an absolute exercise in incivility. People bang you. I like to sit in the aisle. People come down the aisle, backpack, suitcase, purse, elbow, and I'm all over in my seat. I'm not a big guy. I'm not all out in the aisle. And you know what they say? Nothing.
No, they don't even say.
They don't say sorry,
Yes.
my bad. You know what they say? It's all about me. And I really think that has become a big problem for us.
Yeah.
That we are all about me
You know, I don't know for.
instead of about God
Yeah.
overseeing me.
You know, it's really funny that you actually bring that up, because you see, people even on the road, even they know they were wrong, they just, I don't know how would they think that
You're so
even they're in the back and it's red light, it's okay to actually beep their horn and telling you to go.
and give you the finger
Yes.
because you didn't
How-
burn rubber screeching out of there. Or, by the way, I'm sitting here with my blinker on yesterday at Smith's with my blinker on. This guy was backing out, and he backed my way. Now, I got a big white pickup truck, so don't say, I didn't see you parked there waiting with my blinker on. And this guy whips right in. So I just wrote up and said, really? That's all I said. Really, dude?
Yes.
You'd have thought I told him I have your kids hostage in the back seat. This guy went bananas.
Yes.
It's a free country, first come, first serve. That's what he tells me.
I think the thing with that is what has happened is we've lost our sense of community, right?
Yeah.
I'm on civility, community, absolutely.
Right. Like, you know, I grew up in it's Montana, and it's a small town, and we would stop in the middle of Main Street, my dad's truck window to the farmer up the street's truck window, and they'd just be sitting there having a conversation. And I mean, don't get me wrong, this is, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of traffic, but there was civility and community, you know.
But
And-
but I think it's this division.
Well, and then there's another thing that you were in there, and one of the things I think that's happened is words have lost consequences. If you're in
It's a free speech. I can say anything I want. That's true. But you understand that there are consequences if you say something.
But for a long time, for a couple of decades there, you know, any stand-up comedian could get on stage and say anything they wanted, and it was free speech.
Correct.
And the thing is, eventually that bleeds out into the rest of the world, and we're like, well, the comedian said this, so I say this. And I think this is probably one of the reasons why comedians went through part of cancel culture, is because people were just sort of weirded out. I mean, pastors went through it, right? Jerry
Big
Falwell went through
Big
it.
time.
Even what's his name? The big guy.
T.D. Jakes, Holstein,
No, the one before, the guy, Billy Graham.
Billy Graham.
Yeah,
Which is he's about as uncontroversial as you can get.
Absolutely, right? And
Oh my
like,
God.
just got more Unitarian as he went along.
Right,
you know, like,
right.
So the thing is like, pastors went through that where it's like, no, you can't just get up there and say whatever you want,
No,
right?
you can't.
And it culminated in that, what is that group? And I don't agree with them. The one that they're all wearing the God Hates the Gays shirts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, right? Like, it's like, okay, come on, dude.
By the way, I don't believe God hates anyone.
No, the Bible's very clear that
Very
God
clear.
God hates the sin. He does not hate the sinner.
Correct.
Right? God so loved the world, right?
Right,
You know?
right.
So like, if you and I'm not religious, so but like, if you're anywhere religious and you just throw, you know, you have hate for anybody, and then you can't read God loved the world and then just hate.
And you know the other thing is that, and it's just dovetailing right off what you just said about the community. I think part of that, in some ways, I mean, when I grew up, you know, in Cincinnati and right outside of Cincinnati, nobody ever went anywhere. So if I treated you poorly or acted the fool, I was going to run into you for the rest of my life. Nobody ever left. I mean, I use Vegas as the real example. And it's different, a little different now than it was when I got here 30 years ago. When I got here 30 years ago, I had trouble making friends with locals. And somebody said to me, you know why that is? Because we believe You came in here this month, and within a year or something, you're going to be gone. So I'm not going to spend too much energy becoming your big friend because you're not going to stay. I'm sure in your little hometown, you're born here, you grew up there, you died there. And a lot of those people were there their whole life. So if I was a real jerk and treated you really badly or did something really bad, for the rest of my life, unless I left town, which wasn't in the cards, people say, there's Russell. I remember that son of a gun, 1997. He did so and so and so and so. And you can't escape the judgment. You're there. They see you at the one grocery store. They see you at the one post office. They see you at the two doctors. They see you at church on Sunday. They see you and they're like, you can't escape.
It's not just that, though, right?
No, it's not just that.
This is where it's really funny because people want to blame the internet for the loss of community. I actually blame the current economic system because our current economic system that rewards corporations and rewards investors and constantly tries to innovate stuff. Which again, it's a question of trade-offs. It's not one is good or one is bad. They are trade-offs. But one of the things we lose when we begin to monetize everything is we lose what is called the laws of reciprocity. And it's, I come help you build your fence, and a month later you come dig my well or
absolutely
bale my hay. And the thing is like there's no quantitative money transaction between us in the laws of reciprocity, but we're just incentivized to be good to each other because we need each other, you know. And what we've done is we've taken one of the things about that is the laws of reciprocity also have a trade-off. Okay, I come over and help you put your fence up. And you come over and help me install my new mailbox. Now, is your helping me install my new mailbox equivalent to me putting in your fence? No. So I can get offended that you didn't reciprocate to an equal amount.
Correct.
Now, so the easiest solution is I just hire a guy, I pay him money, and he puts the fence up. Great, right? So you're in this world of right? But and even so, the thing that's sick about it, the real is that we could have all seen that coming, and nobody said, okay, how do we quantify this and yet still maintain community, right? And I think honestly, like if you look at one of the things that Elon's struggling with X is trying to figure out how to do that, how to keep this a community, how to keep it organized.
They're charging everything, but anyways. Going back to the loss of community, do you guys think that, you see, nowadays is your neighbors is Democratic and and the other neighbors is Republican? Do you think that's actually affecting everything from the top up presidency? So now, listen to this. Biden and Trump is no longer the presidential race election. It's now Harris. So let's actually talk about the new, the new candidates in the presidential race after our break.
Hi, I'm Deacon T with Modern Word Ministries. It's great to be with you today. Just a short little promo for our show. Every Sunday morning we have service, and you can follow us at 10 a.m. Pacific time on modernwordministries.org. And if you missed us or you want to see some of our older messages, go ahead and check us out on socialmediashows.com every single morning at 9 a.m. It's a great way to kick off your day, get a little bit of the word in you, get something uplifting, get you started off on your way. You know, if you're looking for prayer or you need some help, reach out to us. If you go to our website, again, that's modernwordministries.org, you can interact with me via telephone, via DM, text message, whatever you want. I'll get right back to you. So if you need prayer, you need help, you just need somebody to talk to, Modern Word Ministries is here for you. We are your church in the community. So until you see you next time, be blessed, everybody. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Social Media Shows. Have you been watching social media shows recently? Of course you have. We have been live streaming for 4 years across social media platforms. We produce over 70 shows with over 1,000 episodes. In the process, we've helped over 100 creators realize their dreams and start their own show. We give platforms to promote your business. If you are an artist, if you have an event, if you are entrepreneurs, or if you have a story. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on major social media platforms. And if you have a great idea of a show, join us. Social media shows can help you produce and live stream your own show. Let us help you make your dream become a reality.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Russell. I'm here with Maria and Tom. We're just kind of discussing the, state of culture and society today and stuff like that. Before we left the break, Maria kind of asked a question. She said, how do you think this, one neighbor, we were talking about community, and within the community, you have, one neighbor is Republican, and one neighbor is a Democrat, right?
Or liberal, or whatever.
Yeah. Now, it's really funny because through like the 80s, through the 90s, even the early 2000s, there wasn't a whole lot of pressure on if you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, we could go out for a drink.
Absolutely.
It'd be fine.
Like today.
Yeah. And
unless you're in the weeds.
Yeah.
And don't really say anything.
Right. Unless it's life or death.
Or they actually avoid talking about it.
Correct. Overtly.
Yeah, and they really tell each other like, okay, no politics, let's go drink. Yeah. Unless you bring up a politics, then I'm out. That's how they do it.
The thing is I think that what happens, I think a lot of this is systemic of losing community, right? The thing we were talking about before is that if you lose your community, it becomes very easy to be indoctrinated to hyper left or hyper right, right? Like because being indoctrinated hyper left or hyper right allows community. Right? And honestly, that's exactly what the Manson family did.
I would agree with you. What you're suggesting to the folks is that once you become an island, your natural human instinct is to not be an island.
Right.
And so the people you used to get on your island or get on their island were your neighbors, your friends, your whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's whoever talks to you in a way that feeds your soul. That emboldens you, that gives you a sense of being. This is how gangs have functioned for years.
Well,
right?
I think
they go out and find people who are lost sheep, and they say, "Come on, buddy, you're my guy now. You've got a band of brothers here. Now we're raping, robbing, pillaging. We're selling dope. We're doing all this stuff. But you got a family,
Well, yeah, you call that tribalism, right?
There you go.
And actually, we're very much so biologically. It's very intoxicating for a human to become tribalistic, right?
Right. In the earliest days,
mm-hmm.
if you weren't in the tribe, it was a rough road.
Oh, you were dead.
Well, because somebody had to go out and hunt. Somebody had to, and let's face it, one guy hunting down the wild mastodon versus having 4 or 5, 6, 8 guys hunting down this, and when all you had was a rock tied on a rope, and it was rough if you were alone.
Yeah. Well, imagine I think the earliest humans were scavengers, right?
Yeah.
So imagine going up onto something that, say, a tiger had killed, and you're going to try and sneak a few pieces out.
Right. Like another animal would.
Right.
Right.
You're going to get dead real quick.
Yeah.
Unless you can run real fast. So but the other thing is in those days though, right? Tribalism was a big thing. And the other tribe really wanted to kill you and take your women, right? That was a very common thing, even all the way up into Norse mythology, right? That was
Well, because the women were the key to a number of things. Children, which the more kids I have, the more help I have working the land or going to hunt or whatever. Also, they're the ones who, when I brought the animal home, did the skinning, the tanning, the cooking. I guess you were cleaning it, they had dirt floor. But they kept everything going at home while you were out scavenging. So more women, more kids, more everything. I mean, it built your, if you will, your clan.
right. That's and which. Well, I don't really want to go too much into this because it'll take us in a rabbit trail. That additionally gives us to like current contemporary monogamy and marriage and relationships all stem straight from that, you know. But I don't really want to go down that path because
Don't go.
that's a long rabbit hole. But ultimately, we want to be tribal. We want a group.
And want to be around other people.
Well, and like we know, anything you want to accomplish, you have to have a support group, right? People who make it in AA or, you know,
Have a sponsor.
listen, 95% of people who go to AA will fail at AA. But of the 5% who stay, almost 100% of them are successful. Like minimal relapses of the group that stays. So we know that even in like that sort of extreme situation, a support group is the thing that helps you more than anything, right? So like when we lose that community, we're out there, and you can be, and especially if you have homosexual tendencies, if that's where you lean, or if you have the trans ideas, and that's and somebody's like, oh yeah, here's a whole bunch of woke stuff, right? Of course you're going there. Of course you're going there. And you're going to believe it, and you're going to believe anybody who doesn't believe it is evil.
Correct. And the reason they don't believe it is because they want to keep you in your box. And by the way, I laugh, and now I'm probably exposing, some of my own beliefs, which is fine. When they say woke, I always say unwoke. As in, not the other side, those people, because they ain't awake. They're in la-la land. La-la land. Woke. What is woke anyway? It's a disparaging term, first of all. But it's like, let's just call it what it is. You're not woke, like you woke up and you saw the light. No, you have a particular way you think is right. That isn't like you saw the light. That's just your thoughts.
Well, listen to this. Okay. So we have Trump, and we have Harris now. I know you would go for Trump, and you might go for Harris. Is that correct?
No, I
Okay.
wouldn't go for Harris.
Okay. So yes, that's right.
I'm an
we
RFK man now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so now, and we have RFK sneaking in. I wish he can actually rise on that fight, you know.
Doubtful, but
So what do you think about Harris become the nominee?
here's my question. Her as a person, I don't care one way or the other about. I'm okay with that. I mean, if that's who it is, that's who it is. Here's what concerns me. If you just take the numbers and believe them for a minute. Roughly 80 million people voted for Trump, and roughly 80 million people voted for Biden. Then they had all these primaries. That was last time. Now roll forward, they had all these primaries. On the Democratic side, for whatever reason, he won every primary. Joe Biden did. Not Kamala Harris. I don't know anybody who voted for Kamala Harris in the primaries to become the president. Yet through some internal, I don't know what it is.
It's called
But
money,
we're going to
money,
get there in a minute.
money.
We're going to get there in a minute.
$100 million
through
in
some,
5 days.
but through some internal backdoor, third world kind of shenanigans, she's the new thing. I have nothing against her for a minute. Assume that that's not the issue. My issue is the process. Tell me one person in this country who selected Kamala Harris to run against Donald Trump. And the answer is no one. The people picked Donald Trump. They didn't pick her. Some other Democrats politicians, power brokers, and money people, George Soros, wherever you are, and others, picked her. Oh, by the way, people can disagree with me now if you want, but the mainstream media, I'm not talking about Joe Rogan or some YouTubers, talking about ABC, CBS, NBC, the mainstream, historical mainstream media. They're beyond woke. They're beyond anything else. And anybody who doesn't remember this should remember this. Kamala Harris comes from the heartbed, the hot seat of liberalism and decay now, but of the United States. There's no place any more liberal, any more entitled, any more screwed up than San Francisco. This place that many years back was literally the Paris of America, the jewel of the country. And you had New York, which was the financial headquarters, and then you had this West Coast financial headquarters, which was San Francisco, and the arts, and everyone in San Francisco thought they were Oshishi, and then there were the people in LA. And she comes from Willie Brown, the most liberal people you could find your way around. I'm not even going to say how she knew him, because I wasn't there. But some people have told me she knew him in the biblical sense for a long time. And that's how you become the Attorney General, the District Attorney, and the uncontested. By the way, she ran uncontested for a bunch of these offices because Republicans don't have a chance in San Francisco. They don't waste their money. The Republican Party does it. I don't know her from Adam. I'm not saying what kind of person she is. She's a good person, a bad person, a lot. I don't know anything about that. All I know is, to start with, I may have opinions about that, but I know this. The process was not a good process. Who voted for her? What one of those 80 million people said, we want this cackling fool? Oh, did I let that out?
Because that laugh is awesome.
Because Russell, Russell, the wheels on the bus go round and round. Because see, yesterday was the past, tomorrow's the future. Today will become the future, and then tomorrow will become the past, because the past is a P.
No, she said July 4th, we celebrate July 4th because we celebrate July 4th every year. And then same.
Because the bus is yellow, because it was short, and it's a bus.
Okay.
And we love buses.
Have you seen that?
No,
Okay.
Here's the thing, right?
It doesn't matter, okay? But you know what? I really wanna see a woman president, but not Kamala Harris.
Correct.
Right.
I'm with you.
I'm assuming, are we about to go on break?
No, not yet.
No. Okay. So I want to ask this, because here's what I think. This is what I think. I think after this election, I think the Democrats got nothing.
Nothing.
I think the Republicans got nothing.
Nothing.
Even if Trump wins, who are you going to get?
Who's next?
Yeah. Who would?
I mean, on paper it would be J.D. Vance, because he's the vice president.
Right. He'll try. Right.
And he'll be 43-ish.
And boring.
Correct.
Which, don't get me
Is
wrong,
he charismatic?
I personally love boring, but
Not most people don't.
And
You know what they're like now? Have you seen, I'm sure you see what's happening in the last 4 or 5 days since they've gone behind Harris. They've had an influx of volunteers. 100,000 people have signed up to volunteer in 4 or 5 days, and money like they can't even count it.
it's just flying in.
And by the way, I don't believe at the grassroots. I do believe. I'm talking about the power level, way up here. I don't believe it's because it's about Kamala Harris.
It's because they don't want Trump.
Because they don't. It's a hatred toward Trump, not a love of the cackler. Okay? I don't believe, by the way, I thought I'd never say this in life. Never say this in life. But I'm going to say it. If we had to have somebody who really doesn't align with my economic or political views, if we had to have somebody, and it's going to be a female, I'd rather have Hillary Clinton.
That's what I was saying.
Because you know what? That's a ball-busting son of a gun there. Okay? And guess what? At least I don't think she would just roll around. I mean, can you imagine because I believe this was an issue.
She had a resume too. You know?
Yeah. Do you think that Kamala Harris is going to be any more revered or feared or respected than Joe Biden was? Kamala Harris is a person who's supporting, just so we're clear, trans women in women's sports. So every woman should be realize that is a complete dismantling of rights that women and girls fought for so long. Mm-hmm. And Kamala Harris is openly in favor of Russell being in the, girls weightlifting.
Finally.
but here's what's funny, Russell. And the guy didn't win.
Right.
And with all respect, he's a guy. So I'm calling him a guy. Leah Thomas, who won all the medals in swimming, stripped of the medals, and the girl Gaines, she'll never collect, but she got a $50 million judgment against them, and against the NAACP, against the NCAA, who she may collect something from.
Yeah, that whole thing, I think is really dumb. And here's the deal, like, right? Let's say if you take gender out of it, okay? And my favorite place to go to is look at boxing, right? When I go watch a boxing match, I want two fighters that are gonna be fighting. They're gonna be matching.
Right. You know how the guys are gonna walk in 3 seconds, knock the guy out, and leave.
Dude, my first MMA match I watched, it was Chuck Liddell, and he took the guy out in one punch.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and we wanted to be competitive.
Right. I was like, I think we each paid like $36 a piece. There was like 20 of us put together, bought this MMA package to watch this fight, and one punch, it's over? That's not a fight. Who paired these two together? Right? Like, I don't want to see that. Right? Like, I want to see...
I agree with you.
I want to see competitors. So even if you could be like, okay, we'll call you a girl. You want to be a girl, we'll call you a girl. Right? Why would you want to put that in sports? Why would you want to have those people fighting each other? You want to see a fair and balanced competition.
I agree.
And you're not.
So why would you do that? Why would you be in favor of that?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like you just assume that gender is the equalizer. Gender's not the equalizer. Well, if I'm in boxing, my reach is the equalizer. My weight is the equalizer. Speed. Right? I'm right. You were never going to put Jeff Chavez against Evander Holyfield, two completely different weight classes.
Correct.
Right? Like that was never going to happen. So the thing is like, why would you do this now? Right? Take politics out of it. Right?
Why would you?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I can only think of a couple of reasons, and that is despite what you say. Because understand, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty close. Do you know how many people in this country are truly? And I don't mean have surgery, but truly identify as trans? Not enough to win any election, not enough to move the needle. It's a very, very small group of people.
Well, this is my thinking, and this is the stuff I've heard a little bit before, and I'm pretty sure most of it is for that campaign funding that comes from certain pharmaceutical companies.
Oh. And how about this? That despite what I said 30 or 40 years ago when we got Title IX, despite what I mean, when I say, I mean we, the Democratic Party, despite what we said back then about women's rights, that today, man, that's over. That's not cool.
Right.
So what's cool today, even though it's really doesn't move the needle, but it's cool. It's hip. It makes me seem current. I'm going to go on this trans thing. Well, wait a minute. You are literally dismantling what you talked about was like vitally important when they did Title IX, which was women didn't get scholarships, women didn't get to go to college for free, women didn't get, and their answer was, well, that's because women's sports don't produce any income for us. And they said, of course, too bad. Take some of that money from the men's football program and spread it around. I mean, that's in essence what happened. So now, just so we're clear, my daughter, who is going to show up tomorrow for a boxing match, because she's a UFC fighter who weighs 115, and she's going to get a guy who weighs 115. You know what? It was a beautiful thing. And I don't know if you saw this, but John McEnroe, got a lot of BS because he said, cutting to the chase, if Serena played the men, she couldn't beat number 700 in the world.
Right.
And they went, and he said, but she's the best female athlete ever. Usually, I don't like qualifiers. Qualifier, I actually preached about this once. Qualifier would be, Maria, you're really, really attractive for a Filipino girl. Okay. What does that mean? Whoa! Does that mean that, like, in the whole girl scope, you're not really attractive? Okay, that wasn't what I meant. I meant it.
It's a backhanded compliment.
But it's a backhand. Thank you. So now, just so I understand, we're gonna take you, Serena, and you know what Serena said? I could never play with these guys. And she used Andy Murray. She said, if I went in and played Andy Murray, I'd be off the court, game over. If I scored a point, luckily, I'd be out there in about 6 or 7 minutes. It'd be over.
She played like the 200 best tennis player and lost to him.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's and you know what? And if you didn't really care about women, their rights, the accomplishments they've made in life, and sports is just a reflection of life. Right?
Right.
If you didn't, what you'd say is, to the John McEnroe, he said, I've got an easy way to resolve all this, which is the worst thing women should, this is what they should be mad at. Not because he said Serena wasn't the best player and he said she's the best female player ever, but that he said, this is the answer. Basically giving them the finger. Just have tennis. Bring your racket. Serena, McEnroe, everybody bring their racket. And Serena, you'll play Djokovic today. And guess what will happen? Serena will make no money, have no endorsements. She'll make the same money as number 800 man makes, which is nothing. And all her plastic surgery she's had that didn't work, Serena, by the way, that messed you up. But all the plastic surgery, the houses in France, her sister living in Paris, all that, gone, wiped out. There'll be no, because you'll never hear of a female tennis player again.
Now, I'll tell you what I hope, and I hope
Or
this,
weightlifter.
I hope this somewhat facetiously, but I'd also just, there's got to be part of me that thinks that, maybe watching some of the stuff in the Roman Colosseum would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there's a part of me that's like, here's what we do. Everybody goes on performance-enhancing drugs, and then we balance all the competition based on which drug balances you're at, and then we do that. Because I just want to see mutants fight.
And by the way, And by the way, in professional athletes, professional athletics, I'm 100% for whatever you want to do, you do. So we know, by the way, that if you are an abuser of performance-enhancing drugs, it is going to short-circuit your life. We know this. I'm not new-newsing. But if you say, you know what, I'm willing to make that sacrifice to myself in order to try to get somewhere so I can get this, do that, and you're a professional athlete, not a child,
Right.
okay? Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you can get through the college level of whatever your sport is, and then you just go into the mutant league.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, just
I have no problem.
Go make your money, bro. Go make it.
And I'll say this for the record. I'm on PEDs. I take PEDs every day.
What is PED?
Performance-enhancing drugs.
Are you on
Testosterone,
TRT?
supplementing, TRT,
Yeah.
hormone replacement therapy. I'm doing it because I'm older and you no longer produce any hormones, so you just fall apart. But I in this context, see, I would have no problem with that. I'd have no problem if Serena all of a sudden came out and had an Adam's apple that big, show up and play the boys. I got no problem with all that. But women at large should be on fire right now with Kamala Harris for thinking it's okay to open up. I hope so.
Well, and here, this is the thing.
I hope so. They should be.
They,
Now, here's the-
But you know what Kamala Harris would say? How can you support Donald Trump? Do you know what he's done to women? Okay. He called women some nasty names. Okay? Russell's-
women call guys nasty names.
Oh God, you're taking my sermon. You know what? I'm Russell's such a nice person. He's never done this. I've said things about everybody. Women, black people, Hispanics,
Yes.
Asians, Filipinos, white guys, guys with caps on, guys with blue jeans. I've said disparaging stuff I don't want to be held accountable for. And
Yeah, everybody.
yes, we have. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I actually like about diversity the most is that, you know what? When there ain't all white males in a room, the conversation is way more civilized.
You know, here's the thing that's funny, right? Is that, like, if you want to look at Donald Trump and you want to, people don't remember that there was a point where even certain levels of misogyny were culturally required, right? If you weren't a guy, right, there was a point where, like, it was believed that a man should control his woman.
Oh, all women.
Yeah, right.
So saying
and
that girl comes through, I'm going to grab her by the crotch.
I'm not
Because
saying
I own her.
I'm not saying that was a right thing for society to expect. But if you were a man trying to function in society and you didn't do that, then you were a dandy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that cost you jobs, that cost you
Russ,
food, that cost you, right?
Can I piggyback on your, because you're right. How about this in the same way? Totally different to some people, more abhorrent. So would it be fair then to say that back in, 14 whatever, when George Washington was elected the first president and he had slaves, that back then, we're not saying it's right today, but we're using a 2024 societal filter on a 1500s situation. And so perhaps writing racist on his statue, tearing his statue down with a rope, might not be fair.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So first of all, again, right,
And black people had slaves as well. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is called ethnocentric, right? You're being ethnocentric. You are trying to observe a period of time through the lens of what we now believe.
Correct.
Today, right? Now, here's the thing that's funny. Had you gone to George Washington, you go back to 1770, whatever, you talk to George Washington, you call him a racist, guess what he's going to say? Sure am. Whites are great. That's what he's going to tell you.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
Not right by today's standards.
You can go all the way back, like even in sociology, right? Like you can look at like scientific research from before 1900, right? And like my favorite one is you can go to Sapir-Whorf, right? Who did most of our work on linguistic studies. His whole point of studying linguistics was to prove that white language was superior to all other races of language because we were a superior race. Now, I'm not saying we are. That's not what that is saying. What I'm saying is culturally, the whole of academic society was behind this guy doing that. It was culturally expected to prove that this epidermis was better than the other one. And like, and so the thing is like, whenever, right, it has taken us 150 years of advancement and civil rights work to get to the point where, like, it's okay for an Italian guy to live next to a Jewish guy.
Correct.
Right? Like that level.
Correct.
Right? Like you can go to some neighborhoods in New England and you still...
Boston.
There are places like...
Boston on the south side.
There's certain places the Irish shouldn't go.
Well, Boston's on the south side, if you weren't Irish, not that many years ago, he'd be a little rough on you.
You know? And so, like...
So let me ask you, Russell. Maria, would this be fair? if I want to paint an entire group of people who all look the same with the same brush, doesn't that sound racist? In other words, if I said all white people, blah, 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 all Filipino people,
Have to cook,
all black, yeah, right. No, exactly, whatever it is.
except me.
Isn't that racist? Definitely. So can I ask you something? Because I'm just curious. This phony ultra-liberal Democratic Party, the guy who is our president, in body anyway, since he's not there mentally, but this guy who is our current president, when he says things to people when campaigning like, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Did you hear that? Did you see that?
Oh,
Biden said that.
Yes, yeah.
Several times.
I saw it.
If
in the
you
video.
don't vote for me when addressing black people, you're not black.
And he is actually using black names. When you are black, you are. I'm like, I saw this thing. I'm like, I think.
Whenever you say, well, you're white and that means you're this, isn't that racist?
Isn't it beautiful how, like, they tell people that nobody thinks anymore, and then they immediately introduce stuff like that? That's like,
Well,
don't think, you're thinking for yourself.
when YouTube and internet is the number one source of news for people under 35, newsflash. First of all, I don't believe there's any news left. I think I'm dating myself and I'm making this up and it's being funny. When Walter Cronkite died, news died. Okay, everybody else is running a talk show where they're looking for ratings, so they have opinion, personality, thoughts. All Walter Cronkite did was say, we landed on the moon today. Period. And then you came up with your own thoughts about that. He didn't say, and it's a waste of money because we have black people who are starving and people at the border.
Yeah.
The birth of CNN was the death of that. Really, there's this beautiful period.
Well, there isn't, first of all, there isn't 24 hours worth of news. So we got to fill time. We got airspace.
Yeah.
How you fill that?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I've got opinions about everything.
Oh, hyperbole.
And by the way,
Hyperbole.
economically, I'm a more conservative guy. I'm more a Trump guy economically. I have issues with him, and I tell some adamant Trump supporters all the time, if he ratcheted back his rhetoric, which hyperbole. Do you ever notice, and I said this the other day, he speaks in the superlative. For those of you that didn't go to Catholic school and don't have the scars to prove it, superlative will be est. The biggest, the greatest, the slowest, the dumbest, the bestest. Okay, est. Put an est on your words. Trump is like, we had the biggest turnout ever. We had the greatest 4 years ever. We had the estness ever. He's always in the superlative.
Yeah.
How about if he said, we had some really good years. And instead of saying, Joe Biden is the dumbest guy ever, how about if he just said, he ain't much of a president. We get the picture. Again, his rhetoric is extremely historically looking, non-presidential. It's extremely inflammatory, combative, and almost forces the other side to then come back and say, well, you're a racist, misogynist pig. Wait a minute, we're calling a former president a pig. Well, but he's calling the current president a moron, a dummy, an idiot. You know what I mean? Oh my God, people, can we just all collectively
Together.
bring it back like 2 gears?
It's, the thing that's really funny though is like, because I've talked to a lot of conservatives, I've talked to a lot of liberals, and they all have the same concerns. They're worried about inflation. They're worried about taxes. They're worried about the national debt. They're worried about
The border.
the cost of housing. They're worried, right? And even so,
Right.
right? And even the border. And that's another one.
You know what they're not worried about? Don't tell anybody. The people. They're not worried about and I don't mean this in any negative way. They're just not. I'm not saying they're not, but in terms of priority of what's the problem in the world, it's not the rights of bi people. It's not the rights of transsexual people. Help me out here. It's not abortion rights. Oh, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. I'm not saying it's not important, but to the 170 million people who are going to vote, that ain't going to get you the win or the loss. When I can't put food on my table for my children, or it's significantly harder than it was. So these are facts. Is the cost of food in essentials higher or lower than it was pre-COVID? Higher. Interest rates to get a house or a business loan or something like that, higher or lower? Higher. Is the current rhetoric more pleasant or less pleasant? Way less pleasant. Is our country safer, better border control, or worse border control prior to COVID? Worse. Okay.
So,
I'm going to vote. Here's what I'm not voting. Roe v. Wade. I'm not saying it's not important, but if I can't feed my family, if my jobs don't return because the interest rates drop, I have no money. So this is what liberals, I think, don't understand. We don't have an endless supply of money. Now, you can write all the checks you want. See, this is the liberal way of doing things. We just write checks against a bank account that's phony. We just print more. But if I'm struggling in feeding my people, or I'm struggling to work or get real employment, I'm not talking about jobs. I'm not talking about jobs that don't pay me. And I think I'm worse off than I used to be. I'm struggling and I'm in pain. And the people who are hurting the worst, it's not, Joe Biden isn't hurting. Kamala Harris isn't hurting. People with money aren't hurting. Those people don't know what inflation is. They may know the number. It doesn't impact those people at that level. Not nearly as much as does people who are just getting by. And so when I go to vote, what liberals don't seem to understand is it takes money to have social programs. If you don't have money, if you don't have a solid economy, if you don't have people spending to see, our National Reserve people, Federal Reserve people, they seem to think that, and I'm going to use a weight loss concept. They seem to think that the way to get inflation down is to choke the person. So if I say, hey, Russell, I want you to get on a program here and lose weight. Okay, well, you know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to put a collar around your neck. I'm going to cinch it real tight, and then tighter, and then tighter. I can't swallow. It's like, you're losing weight left and right. Look at you. You know, but now I'm emaciated and I'm undernourished, but I am down to 120. Okay. That's what they've done to the economy. Oh, the economy definitely is slowing down. Well, it didn't. Inflation is still 8% or whatever it is. Who you believe, I don't know. You know what I mean? 12%. But their methods I'm all for social programs. As soon as we have the money. Where is the money? We have the money. 100 billion to this place, 100 billion to that place. These are the things that have made me crazy. I don't know who your worst enemy is in this world, but
this guy.
Yeah, right. Mine is too. Mine. But if I had trouble in life, if I was struggling, would you go to your worst enemy and help pay their mortgage like we did to Iran with their little buying oil from them?
That was
Would we give them $6 billion?
So who is responsible
Was it 10?
for that?
Oh, plus we opened up their oil. You know, now their oil refinery that was shut down is open, and they're making hundreds of billions a year off the oil that we have empowered them.
That is a mess. That is a mess. Going all the way back to George Bush Jr. and why
would you buy oil from them of all the people? Buy it from somebody who maybe you don't know if they hate you. Buy it from Saudi Arabia.
Listen. I don't know what laptop
Mexico.
Iran had of Joe Biden's.
Oh no, we have one.
Yeah,
we have one.
Yeah, Iran had another. Yeah. Obviously,
yeah, because you can't make this stuff up.
Oh my gosh.
We run out of time.
No, that's fine. Well, we are running out of time, but I just want to.
But you know what? Filipino women are more laid back, so that's why you didn't take two white guys and get in our ass. Sorry.
What I am, it seems like, for me, at least for me, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the the two presidential candidates that we have has no way of fixing the problem that we are all in right now. And I am not going to say, hey, vote for Trump or vote for Kamala Harris, vote for RFK. Vote for RFK. Maybe we can have some change. I don't know. I don't.
Vote for Russell.
Here's the truth. Here's what I think the truth is, and this is my conclusion. You're not gonna combat if you're against wokeness and you don't want the left doing something. You're not gonna combat that by voting for president.
No.
And I'll tell you, here's the other thing: is if you're on the left and you want that to be your environment, you're not going to get that by voting for, right? The people who are actually going to affect your life on a day-to-day basis are going to be your city council.
The closer to you they are, the more impact.
That's right. Right.
So start from the bottom and work
And
up.
guess what? Here's the deal. You want better housing prices? You need city men to open up more lots and reduce the cost of not just land, but of the bureaucracy to build.
Oh, God.
Right? You have to vote for those people. That's what's going to affect change in your life.
Right
And if
people.
you don't believe that, look at what's happening in these different states, where the states now have said on abortion, on immigration, on all this stuff, the states have stepped in, whether you like what they're doing or not, but that's where the power really is.
Trump isn't going to affect what your HOA does, man. Donald Trump and Harris aren't going to affect your HOA.
No.
They're not going to hire the firemen that protect your house from the fires.
Nope.
They're not going to hire the cops that protect you from crime, right? They're not going to put in new infrastructure to get better healthcare systems in you. They're not going to build new hospitals and open new doctor's offices. You know who does that? Your city guy does. Your county commissioners do that.
Except in one place, Russell. Communism and socialism.
Right?
Where everything is controlled from the top, Comrade Russell, and you wear the same clothes, and you live in their designated thing. They determine how many children you can have. They put you in prison if you break any of those rules, right? So centralized, massive government at the federal level. China, Russia, keep going. Even Ukraine, just keep going. That's where we're headed.
Yeah. But look, the buck stops, though, at your mayor's door.
Correct.
If your mayor, when we were doing the pandemic and they said
They refused to
everybody's going to put masks on, do you know how many cops in Washington, in one of the most liberal states, said we're not enforcing this?
Correct.
Pretty much all of them.
And by the way, pretty much everywhere they did that.
They're like,
Pretty much everywhere.
You know who had to enforce it? Was the waitress working at the
Correct. The poor manager of the restaurant.
Right. When that guy said I had to wear a mask, I finally put a mask on.
Yeah. Or you got crazy with him and yelled at him. Right.
Because I was pretty
And they
sure I
suffered.
just had to wear that mask from the door to my chair and then I could take it off. I'm like, all right, that's a fair trade.
Well, anyways, thank you so much for viewing us. Please comment, let us know, email us, email Deacon Tom more at gmail.com and Russell at
Nowhere.
social
Don't-
media
Yeah,
accounts.
don't contact.
Yeah.
Here's the beauty. If I can say this, because this is a complete. Here's the wonderful part. We're in a country where you can have this discussion. We're in a country where you actually have a choice. We're in a country where you have disagreement and back and forth and all that. Because I promise you this, I'm not sure if I got the guts to have this if I'm in China and I'm a Chinese citizen. Okay, or Russia,
Philippines.
or Philippines, or a bunch of other places where, nice
have your
podcast.
head.
What happened to Russell and Maria and Tom? We
they're-
disappeared them.
Right.
Right? So I'm thanking God, and I'm not being funny,
Yes.
that we live in a place where for all the problems, it's still the best place in the world. And do you ever notice? When somebody comes to this country, they talk so much crap, and they so evil. I don't know. This OAC woman, she must hate America. She say otherwise, but she act like she hate it. Tell her to leave. This Iman lady, the one, oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they don't leave. Ain't nobody ever leave America. So terrible. I got news for you. Do us all a favor.
I'm
Go
not
home.
so terrible, but then they don't.
But then they don't leave.
Yeah, then they don't leave.
Ever. You can't pry them out of here.
I know, right? Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
This is
Tom.
awesome.
This is Vegas Views. You're sitting in for Danny and Dawn, and hope to have them back soon in Vegas Views. We'll see you guys again next week.
Bye-bye.